Hello, everybody. I'm Ollamh,
And I'm Outlander from the American Machine.
and welcome to the Nerdening. Today we're going to be discussing bad movies, both good bad movies and bad movies.
Or just the movies that you loved partly because they were so bad. And what was one of your favorites? Should we go by genre, by time period?
Oh, that's a difficult... How to approach this is kind of a difficult...
So how about, let's just think about the movies that we loved that a lot of our friends just said...
First one that comes up for me that I've actually had a lot of friends kind of iffy about this and just they hate it, and that is Hudson Hawk.
God, you beat me to the punch. I love that movie. I love that movie. That movie made me want to become a lounge singer.
And that is a very interesting point with Hudson Hawk in particular, is it was never intended, I don't think it was ever intended to be an honest movie. It was never meant to be taken seriously.
Well, no, you watch that movie. Was it supposed to be taken? You can't watch that movie and go, oh, it was supposed to be taken seriously.
Yeah,
Come on, Butterfinger, Kit Kat, anyone?
Yeah, it's, and I think one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that Bruce Willis can sing. He is a really good singer.
Well, weren't you telling me that he actually put out some albums?
Yeah, I know there's at least one that was Return of Bruno, I think. He does a lot of older songs like Under the Boardwalk.
Okay.
Stuff like that, and it's just he is a really good singer. So okay, one of your movies that you love, bad movie that you love that most people are kind of like, about.
It's another Bruce Willis one. My parents had it on Laserdisc, and I'll keep bringing that up. But it was I think it was it Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn and Bruce Willis in Death Becomes Her? It was a really fun story where Bruce Willis I think he plays a plastic surgeon or something like that. And
That sounds familiar. I don't think I've ever seen that.
And it was a fun concept of a movie because the two ladies who are friends of this plastic surgeon are stuck trying to deal with their bodies while they're dead but still moving around. And Goldie Hawn has a frickin' hole blowing through her.
Wow. Okay, now let's flip things around a little bit. A bad movie that a lot of your friends like that you just cannot stand.
Oh, that my friends like that I cannot stand. I know a lot of nerds, so it's really hard to be like, oh, I don't like that. You know, I'm pretty easy to get along with on what's good or bad, because I think that you hit a certain point where you just accept that there are bad movies, there are good movies, and then there's everything in between. And most of your friends are going to recommend everything in between.
Okay, well, I actually have two. I have two of them that...
The two that you can't stand. I
can't stand that people just seem to love the hell out of, and it baffles me. Number one is Super Mario Brothers.
I saw it in theaters. I thought it was a fun movie. I didn't care if it was being true to the canon or anything. I was also 13. I was also 13, so don't take me as a real credible witness here. But I did enjoy that movie.
I hated that movie. It's just god-awful.
Oh, the elevator scene with all the Goombas.
The whole John Leguizamo being an Italian. Now, granted, Bob Hoskins
as an Italian. Yeah, more racism there.
He at least was able to kind of pull it off, whereas you have somebody with
He more looked the role.
You have somebody with a very obvious Latino accent, and he's supposed to be Italian.
And a very serious dental handicap, too. Luigi didn't have those problems.
So my second one that so many people just love the hell out of this movie, I saw it once, I will never see it again because it is just a bad movie, and that is The Room.
Oh, that movie is all bad. That's one of those movies where it's so bad. The most fun thing about it is waiting for it to show up at the art theater and going with a bunch of other people and throwing spoons.
I can't even get into it that much.
It's kind of for people. It's an event sort of thing. Because that movie was so bad. It was so terrible. There are conspiracy theories that the guy who made the movie was actually D.B. Cooper, who jumped out of the commercial jetliner or whatever with like $1 million in a backpack and everything.
Oh, jeez, yeah, and then became Tommy Wiseau.
With the most strangest accent ever.
No, that's just...
Well, hello, Danny. Like, that kind of camp reminds me of, okay, so Evil Dead.
Okay,
Evil Dead, when it was first made by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, was trying to be a serious horror movie, but they did it in such a way.
It was a college film.
Yeah, it was a college film.
It was a college
film.
film.
I think it was his final project for film class. Here's why it became a cult classic, was because everybody knew it was made cheaply. And everybody knew that it was supposed to be a horror movie. And everybody knew that they failed horribly at the horror and succeeded wonderfully at the comedy that they weren't even really trying to do.
Yeah, and then they
basically remade it with Evil Dead 2.
Yeah,
and then just went with the comedy angle and ran with that in Army of Darkness, and they're getting a miniseries soon. So yes.
Now, an interesting segue here as far as the idea of Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2 being kind of a remake but kind of a sequel.
Yeah.
Brings to my mind John Carpenter. In particular, Escape from New York and Escape from L.A. Escape from New York, yeah, it was a cheesy 80s film. Now, then in the 90s, they decided, the movie company decided, hey, we want you to do a sequel based in L.A., and basically Carpenter looked at it and he's like, I've already made this movie once. Why am I redoing it?
Yeah.
I think that was an actual quote that in regards to it was,
meaning
I've done it once.
That even a bad movie producer can have some integrity.
Yeah.
Speaking, a quick John Carpenter point. If you didn't know, watch a John Carpenter movie, any of them, like Prince of Darkness, where Alice Cooper was like the big guest zombie ghoul thing or whatever. Listen to the music. John Carpenter, the director of the movie, made that music. He probably passed it through a couple of other, music producers along the way, but generally, it sounds like he made it by himself in his room, naked in front of his computer.
I don't want to know how you can tell from the from the music.
I was a telemarketer. I know how to hear rooms. I'm like Daredevil, dude.
Yes, but how can you tell he's naked?
Daredevil.
So now, we haven't touched on TV movies yet. There were some bad made-for-TV movies.
It's called the Lifetime Channel.
There was the original Fantastic Four.
They made that for TV, didn't they?
I think so. I'm not sure.
And then they canned it because it was basically
it was like this will never be seen. Somebody did a mock Avengers trailer with the old school Hulk, and when the Hulk met Thor, and the old 70s, 80s Iron Man. Now, in the 90s, I think it was, the 90s kind of had late 80s, early 90s had an attempt at comic book movies that were, they're not good movies. They're not. They are not good movies.
I really liked Dolph Lundgren's Punisher.
I liked it too, but it was a bad movie.
He acts like a board, in that movie, because I think I've actually seen Dolph Lundgren kind of act since then. Otherwise, the movie was cool. Some cool stuff happened in there.
Now, the idea for that was he wasn't so much a hardened vigilante as he was literally dead inside.
Yeah, that's what he was trying to play in that movie.
Interpretation was he is dead. He is literally dead inside. So
Dolph Lundgren was a great choice. Hey, we need you to play a board that kills stuff.
Now they also did a Captain America as well. That again, it was not a good movie, but I enjoyed it.
I remember that one, the first Captain America movie when I was a kid, and I thought it was fun. And that's one of the ways I look at it. It's like, people say, is it good or bad? I say, was it fun?
So you're a bad but kind of enjoyed TV movie.
Well, all of the interseasonal Babylon 5 movies were
Big surprise.
Yeah. Just stick a fork in me. I'm done. The Babylon 5 movies. What's weird is when I thought it was a great concept. Hey, have a TV series and put out a TV movie in between series, which that's cool. And I think that was when it changed, where like, Star Trek and everybody else, they really started to make the last 10 episodes of a season kind of a broader movie scope and everything, because they didn't want to do the interseasonal TV movie, because that's just more work, So make the season worth it, and don't make people subscribe to all the extra DLC,
Yeah.
And you get a stronger series out of that, instead of, like a series that does whatever, and then there's more of whatever, But I was kind of disappointed. I love the concept, but I was usually disappointed with the Babylon 5 movies. The Ranger Wars, I think, was really good.
Now going from shows to bad-ish movies, I cannot in good conscience skip a bad movie that I tried watching and couldn't do it, and that is the Doctor Who movie. So in the 80s or 90s, they tried to make a movie for Doctor Who. Problem is they did not let the BBC do it.
Oh, wasn't it done by Americans?
Yes, they had, I think it was Lionsgate. They took Doctor Who and they said, hey, we really like this, but we want to show him as a kid. We want to show him growing up on Gallifrey, coming up with a sonic screwdriver. We want the Master to be his half-brother. We want him to be half-human. We want him to be, son of the Chancellor or the President.
All these things he wasn't.
And just all this backstory that had no basis whatsoever in the show. And basically, I think somebody at the BBC stepped in and said, wait a sec. You're trying to do way too effing much. This is not going to work, so you are going to touch certain parts of our show. So that's our opinions as far as bad movies and good bad movies.
That's not even all of them. That's just what we could remember right now.
Yeah. Now, as always, we would love for you to leave a comment in the description down below and let us know what your picks. What is one bad movie that you personally love?
And give us another one that everybody loves, but you hate. I want to know more about those.
I'm kind of curious to that as well.
I love a lot of bad movies. Come on, Critters, Killer Clowns. Being real here.
Yeah. So, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more from Ollamh Productions and
from the American Machine.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.